WRSR, Owasso, Flint. The following program has been pre-recorded and is paid for by Discover Flint Township. The views expressed are those of Discover Flint Township and do not necessarily reflect the views of 103.9 The Fox or Krill Communications, Inc. Welcome to Discover Flint Township, a program showcasing our local community. Flint Township is ready for your next move. And now, your host, Flint Township Economic Enhancement Director, Tracy Tucker.
This is Discover Flint Township, brought to you by Flint Township Economic Development Authorities, HAP, Financial Plus Credit Union, Shea Automotive Group, and The Fox. And 103.9 The Fox. I almost said it wrong again, Rusty. We are wide awake, and we hope you are too. This morning, we will be speaking about what's happening in Flint Township, and we'll be talking with Nino Sapone, who is going to be our Guaranteed Rate Business Spotlight person. And we're focusing that spotlight today on Bishop International Airport. Now, so I'm going to change things up a bit today, and we are going to start right off with our business spotlight. And we're going to be talking to Nino. Hey, Nino, how are you?
Good, Tracy. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, we love having you here. You know, Bishop Airport is such an integral part of, I was telling you earlier, of economic development in the township that we really wanted to have you guys on. But before we get started on all those things, why don't you introduce yourself and let everybody know what you do at Bishop?
Yes, Nino Sapone. I'm the executive director for Bishop International Airport. And mainly I just run the airport and try to do what I can to help the community, and you're right about the economic engine. That's something we pride ourselves in, and we want to be that spotlight for the region.
There's so many things to talk about when it comes to the airport, but let's start with you. How long have you been at Bishop?
I am going on 2 years. I came in as a deputy director previously from Pittsburgh International Airport, where I worked there for 26 years. And I saw the opportunity here in Bishop, and I went for it.
Yeah, well, we love having you here. And, you know, I've met with you a few times, but there's so many great things about the airport. But one of those is access. It's so easy to get in and out. Does that give Bishop an advantage over other airports?
Oh, definitely. That's one of the things we pride ourselves on, and you know, we advertise, because being able to go from the parking lot through security and getting to your gate within 10 minutes is really unheard of. And sometimes it works against us. When you get off a plane, you get down in baggage claim so quick, it seems like you're waiting forever for your bag, but then even a couple 15 minutes.
Yeah, perfect. And you know what? You have a lot of technology is what helps people move through quickly, right? So like TSA, you have some new spangled scanners or something like that. Why don't you tell our listeners about that?
Yeah, just recently the TSA deployed new scanning equipment at the checkpoint. And it's basically similar to an MRI, so they can get all kind of different angles and pictures of your bag. So it's really to reduce the number of touch points for the TSA officers. Okay. They can see better. And in the near future, we're also going to get they look like a kiosk at the checkpoint, so there will be no more interaction with giving back and forth your boarding pass. You'll be able to put your license or your ID into a kiosk at the checkpoint, and it would scan you and give you the okay to go. So it's really...
that's cool.
Yeah, it's eliminating the touch points for both the passengers and TSA.
I really love that you can have your boarding pass on your phone and just scan it. I think that is so great, because I'm able to do it ahead of time, so I'm not scrambling, looking for paper and all that stuff. Now, it's bad if your phone goes down, but make sure you have your battery charged before you go. Right?
Absolutely.
So also, you've got some other cutting edge technology called a smart helmet, but I'm not sure what that is. So what is that?
Yeah, the smart helmet, it's basically, it gives you thermal imaging scanning of people for their temperatures. And that's one of the things that we were looking at in Europe, when they were ahead of us, and whenever the COVID hit pretty bad, and Rome Airport looked at this technology for their officers to be able to scan the crowd and be able to get thermal imaging and really detect if there's any people with a threshold of a fever.
So Okay, so is it like a TSA person wearing the helmet, scanning the crowd? Is that how it works?
No, it's our airport police officers.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
They're in the terminal.
Speaking of that, oh, sorry. Go ahead and finish that
they're in
thought.
the terminals doing their checks, and they catch the inbound flights, people coming off the planes. And again, the advantage is it's not a standalone unit. It's mobile, and they can scan up to 20, 30 passengers at a time.
Wow. So your police officers are doing that. And speaking of the police officers, and I'm sorry I interrupted you, but my mind just like catches something. Chief Miller just retired, right? He was there a lot of years, wasn't he?
Yes, 20 plus years. He just retired and turned a new chapter. And, it was great to see. The mayor gave him a key to the city.
Yes.
He got a lot of awards, but Lieutenant Wayne McIntyre, that worked under Chief Miller, he's a great guy and well respected in the emergency services and interaction with all the agencies, and we're glad to have him.
Yeah, I've never met Wayne. I always dealt with Lieutenant Dan. And all I could think of was Forrest Gump every time I think Lieutenant Dan. but so Wayne McIntyre is the new chief.
Yes.
Awesome. That's great. And, I hate to talk about COVID, but everybody knows it's there. So let's talk about that for a minute. How has COVID affected the industry?
It's been devastating, starting back in March. And just to give an example, just with Bishop, we got back in 2020, starting February, March, April, the airport was going to see the biggest increase it's ever seen. Right. Year over year, it was going to be 50% in passengers and capacity.
Yeah, you guys are rolling.
Yeah, we're rolling, and really looking forward to the first quarter. And then when COVID hit, where it was devastating to the industry. We were lucky in the case sense that we have a lot of leisure traffic in the Florida markets still. Allegiant flew to Florida markets. They cut down on some frequencies, but they did continue flying.
Yeah, Allegiant kept flying the whole time, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, in Nashville. We launched Nashville in June, and I was betting there's no way we're going to launch Nashville in the middle of the COVID crisis, but we did. And
love Nashville.
Yes.
It's a great place to visit. And on that vein, you guys are working with the county on providing COVID vaccinations and testing at the facility. Is that true?
Yes, we're going to be partnering with the Genesee County Health Department and providing space in our economy lot for them to do drive-through vaccinations.
That's awesome because you have the room.
Yes,
it's a great spot,
and it's a good location on this side of the county for them to have that capabilities, and we're providing, like I said, the space, and they're hoping by the 27th, but depending on the availability of vaccinations, that they could move.
Yeah.
But it's going to be up and running soon.
Yeah, so we'll remind our listeners to keep their eye out on the Genesee County Health Department site and watch for vaccination availability there. Yes. And sites. So, you guys work with a lot of different companies and schools and things like that, but I heard that you have something new called Crosswinds.
Yes, Crosswinds, they came to the airport, it's been over a year now, and they started, they're partnering with Genesee County GISD.
Okay.
And it's for flight school. So
awesome.
The kids go half day to GISD, then they come to the airport for their flight training.
That's great.
And it started off, we're testing the waters, and it really picked up. The attendance picked up. They started with one plane. They have two now and bringing in a third.
Wow.
And they just signed a deal with Eastern Michigan to do the flight training for them.
Nice.
So we're really happy about the way that's program.
That's great. Off. So they have their own hangar there and on the airport
we
property.
built out their offices, and they got a hangar on the field.
Nice.
So they got their own area. They got their training facility, the simulators, and everything they need.
That's cool. That's really cool. I work with hot air balloons. We have friends that own hot air balloons, and we do that. And my husband's father was a pilot, and he flew, personal, not commercial. And but I've never, I can't recall ever being in like a small plane, but I think it's cool. I think it would be cool to be able to fly on my own. I think that would be awesome.
Oh, it's a lifetime experience, and the kids today, that coming out of school, the money is the flight time, and that's something that's hard for them to do, and be able to provide that service in partnering with GISD.
Are they doing that as part of Skull Center? Or Tennessee Career Institute. I'm showing my age, calling it Skull Center. Okay, so that's actually available to them while they're still in high school then?
Sure, yes.
Oh, that's really cool. That's super cool. So we'll right now, let's give out where people can go if they want more information about things that are happening at the airport. Your website, what is that?
Yes, it's bishopinternationalairport.org.
Okay.
And and you'll be able to find everything from the airlines, anything new that's happening at the airport, doing business at the airport, any information. So. And
there's several phone numbers, so we're not going to give out one phone number.
They're all on there, and a link to our Facebook page.
Oh, awesome. That's great. And so the airport itself actually sits in Flint and Flint Township, right?
Correct.
It used to all be in Flint Township until I want to say it was the late 60s when they annexed you guys, or early 70s. And but when you built the new building that's there now, and they moved Bristol Road, which used to be basically where you pull up now, right?
Right.
They actually made the terminal itself is when you go in, you're in Flint Township. When you go up the escalator, you enter City of Flint, right?
Correct.
I always thought that was so funny.
Yeah, it is pretty unique.
I do want to tell everybody, and I had this for later in the show, but I'm going to bring it up now. Rosie is in Flint Township.
Yes, she is.
We were talking about that because you have these wonderful statues celebrating the history of Flint Township, and you have Nash, right? Chrysler, and now Rosie, right?
Yeah, and soon to come Newsboys.
Old Newsboys. Oh my goodness, yeah. I did not know that. What a fantastic idea! Because that is. Years ago, my mom has always supported Old Newsboys because when she was a kid, she grew up in Flint Township, and that's who they got presents from. I mean, nobody had any money back then, and we have always supported Old Newsboys. And since we're on the radio, I'm going to tell this story because it's kind of fits with Old Newsboys. Years ago, my kids were little. Tickle Me Elmo was out. And, my son, I wanted to get him this Tickle Me Elmo doll. And I don't know if you guys remember the big craze of, everybody was selling them for like buku bucks. I had ended up with two, and I only needed one. So I had called the Detroit Lions and let them know if they wanted to raffle it off for a charity. They never got back with me. I ended up calling in. I don't know how I ended up calling into a radio station and ended up getting a hold of the G. Gordon Liddy show, of all things, G. Gordon Liddy. And he was thrilled to death. He's like, yeah, we'll put it on the air and we'll raffle this off. And they ended up, got me on the phone after they had done this big show about it, and he called me back and he's like, so how do you want to split this? Because they had said, I told him I wanted Old Newsboys of Flint and Toys for Tots. And they did, he said, well, how do you want to split? I said, well, just 50-50 is fine, He says, well, what do you think if I told you you got, $500? And I'm like, oh, that's great. He says, what do you think if I told you you got $1,000? I said, well, I said, I'd be amazed. He says, what if I told you you got $1,500? And I'm like, you're kidding me. He's like, you got $1,500 for each charity.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Some general's wife bought it because she wanted Toys for Tots to get the donation. She didn't even know anything about Old Newsboys, but she wanted to make sure that Toys for Tots got the donation. So that was really cool. So I love Old Newsboys, and we always support them. They had a devastating loss with Chris, their director, passing away, but now they have Joe Tucker, right?
Joe Tucker.
Yeah. He used to own, no, is his name Joe? It was Crystal Joe's, but it wasn't his name. Tony Tucker. Tony Tucker. Because I always wanted to call him Joe because he had Crystal Joe's. My son used to go in there and call him his cousin because my last name's Tucker. But anyway, so now off my life because we've kind of veered.
We're very fortunate to be able to showcase some of those statues in the history of Flint. And that's one thing, in the airport with the arts, and we want to get more of that into the airport. And because that's really the gateway to the city. That's the first thing you see.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of that, you have a piano there, right? A piano that people can play while they're kind of waiting.
Yes, it's a community piano that anybody can play. The kids love it.
Yeah, I bet.
And you'd be surprised at how good the kids are compared to the adults.
Well, you did that in concert with FIM, didn't you? Flint Institute of Music. I was there when you unveiled that. That was a couple years ago. And the artist was from Flint Township.
From Flint Township.
Yeah,
correct.
that was awesome. He was there with him and his little daughter. And if you are in the airport and you get a chance, it's on the second floor as you're going to the checkpoints.
Correct.
Before you get there,
on
right?
The left side, right before the checkpoint.
Right. And it is beautiful. It has wonderful graphics on it, or paintings, I guess I should say, because they are paintings. One is of a sunset with an airplane going up, and another one is the old like World War II warbirds or something on it, and there was a hot air balloon. It was like different stages of flight. It's really cool, really, really cool. Okay, so I got off on a tangent, and now poor Nino is looking at me like, oh my gosh, what are you going to talk about next? So let's talk about new plans for next year. Got anything coming up? Any projects?
Our big airfill project is a taxiway extension that we're going to be doing.
Okay. That's
a federally funded project.
Great.
And we have other little stuff going on, but our biggest accomplishment this year was the redoing of runway 927.
Yeah.
That was a big undertaking, and getting a federal grant of almost $9.2 million to really
that was
help us
fantastic
yes.
when I saw that, and also that was great. Now, what airlines can people fly out of Bishop? I know Allegiant's there.
Yeah,
right?
Allegiant's our number one carrier. They got the most traffic, all the Florida markets, and Nashville, and Las Vegas launches March 5th.
Oh, my goodness.
So everyone listening, March 5th, Las Vegas.
Yeah, I have never been to Las Vegas. Can you believe that?
Yeah, and you know what? That even though Southwest had the Las Vegas flight when they were here, and when they left, to this day, before we even got Las Vegas, that was a number one click on our website.
Was it?
Yeah, the people were looking for it.
I years ago, everything's years ago with me, it seems like, but years ago, my husband bought me a trip to, it was out of Bishop, and they had like these junkets where you could fly, and this was to the Mall of America. You went, it was like a day trip. You flew out in the morning, and you flew back at night. It was a lot of fun. It was really cool, and I don't know if they do that kind of stuff anymore, but that was a lot of years ago. So,
the only charter we have now is Sun Country, which they do some casino runs.
Oh, okay, yeah, because a lot of people do that, and like I said, I've never been to Vegas. I think it would be cool to go, but I just
not. American, you got into Chicago and into Charlotte, which is a great connection. If you ever went through Charlotte, they're the number 4 in the country as far as a hub.
Yeah, you can go just about anywhere from there.
globally throughout the world and Caribbean and so forth. And it's a great connection into their main bank. So
yeah, because I was looking at that. I was thinking about going to Ireland, and that they have a direct flight to Ireland from Charlotte. So you could do a nonstop to Charlotte and then a nonstop from there. So that was kind of cool. So those are your nonstops, are like Vegas. Well, coming. That's coming, right? Vegas, Nashville, Florida. You got all over Florida. You've got a bunch of different places. Chicago. Yeah, I take Chicago quite a bit. Do you have a nonstop to DC too, don't you?
Not
Are you used
yet.
to? Oh, okay.
That's
all right.
something, we've been talking to the carriers for.
Okay. Oh, Charlotte. That was the other one. Charlotte.
Yeah.
So, any new services coming up? You just said Vegas. Is there anything else that's coming up?
Not confirmed, but we are working on some for
Work it
later
out.
in the summer.
All right. So watch their website, bishopinternational.org, and you can see when they get new services. And who provides the most flights out of the airport?
It's Allegiant, especially now with the seasonality of Fort Lauderdale, Sarasota. They're really ramping up, and the next few months are going to really be hopping at the airport.
Yeah. We took my daughter's 21st birthday. We went down to Cocoa Beach, and we flew Allegiant. That was the first time I'd ever flown Allegiant. And it was a nice flight. We didn't have any issues. And you landed in a small airport, which I loved, in and out. I mean, it was just like Bishop, but different, obviously. But it was, the easy in, easy out type thing. So that was cool. And you guys have the rental cars and just like any of the other big airports. It's just that you can get in and get out easy.
Yeah,
right?
much more efficient.
Yeah, more efficient. I like it. So is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we haven't touched on yet?
I think we touched on most of it without me giving away anything.
Oh, I know. You guys used to have Sid the Skycap.
Yes.
Is that still around, or
we had to Sid the Skycap the campaign for 2 years up till about 6 months ago, which really was a phenomenal
people
campaign.
Love that. I heard so much about that.
Commercials and the advertisement, but we did move on to another campaign. But we had them for about 2 years.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And then let's see, I kind of give our guests an outline of what I'm going to talk about, and I skip around so much I kind of lose my own thoughts. But parking, because we're talking about how easy it is to get in and out. I know you have the cell phone lot there that people can call if somebody's picking them up, so they don't have to pay for parking to come pick somebody up. They can wait for a person. And you have long-term, short-term. What kind of costs are people looking at for something like that?
Yeah, our short-term lot is $4 hourly, daily $15 max, and weekly is $185.
That's not bad.
No, and long term, again, $4 hourly, a $10 max, and $70 weekly.
That's nice. In
the long term lot, right now we're not utilizing it as much, but whenever we do, it's $4, $8, and $56.
Okay, yeah, and that's a lot cheaper than a lot of the airports. I think I was someplace one time, and I don't know if it was Detroit, but it seemed like it was like $18 a day or something like that, and it might have been more.
Yeah,
I think $18 a day was the lot that was off the airport. So those are usually cheaper.
Very competitive, and
also
to operate at the airport, we're one of the the lowest fares and the cheapest to operate.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to mention, with COVID, it wasn't talked about as much, but we have that non-ticketed passenger program. So if you can go on a website and sign up for a non-ticketed passenger. And what it is you give your information, and we have the capability of vetting you. If you need to take an elderly person over to the other side, or you're sending children over.
So they can get past the checkpoint and wait with them until their flight gets there?
Yeah, and we would
that's
issue,
fantastic.
The airport would issue a boarding pass, like an airport boarding pass that you could take your,
Oh, that's a great
military,
idea.
Kids, elderly.
Sure.
Yes, I mean, a lot of it was suspended during COVID because there wasn't a lot of people flying. But
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that the public's aware.
But
of
if you think about it, if you have a child that's going, or like you said, somebody elderly, or somebody with disabilities that may need aid, and they have to get there, they should get there an hour, at least an hour or 2 hours for their flight, usually is what most airports recommend, right? So if you're getting near that early, they're in the waiting area once they get through security and they can't go back out.
Right.
So to have their aide there with them or their parent, what a great idea.
Yeah,
That's a wonderful idea.
The quickest way is to pre-register on the website. That way, you're vetted, and you can just come in and pick up the pass.
Yeah, so if they need that, again, they can go to bishopinternational.org and they can find out about that.
And just to note, we're one of the 4 airports in the country to do it.
Oh, really?
A non-ticketed individual
Really?
program.
Well, cutting edge. That's
Yes,
Bishop
absolutely.
International Airport. and you guys service like FedEx. You have FedEx terminal there, right?
Yeah, we got FedEx for cargo, and that's another one of my priorities is to really look at cargo, because we're at an airport situated, like you said, in Flint and city in Flint Township. The transportation network around it is incredible, and we got to take advantage of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right there where I-75, US 23, and I-69 all come together logistically, and you have the railroad right across the street.
Yeah.
So if somebody's looking at moving cargo, they are the perfect place because
Yes,
you are multimodal.
And that's something that we're really looking at.
Yeah, yeah. And then you have one of our other great family-owned businesses is Visible When You Fly In, Kogels.
Yes, they're outside the fence line.
Yes, and they are owned by the Kogels. So, I know what else I wanted to bring up. Nino is not only the director of the airport. Nino is also now one of my bosses. He just joined the Downtown Development Authority Board, who is one of the partners on this broadcast. So I want to welcome you to that. You've attended one meeting so far, right? We have a meeting next week.
Yeah, 2 virtual.
Yeah, 2 virtual. Okay. See, I'm not a very good employee. I can't remember how many times he's been to a meeting. But so I just wanted to bring that up. And we are going to have a event for the spring. We're going to have the Discover Flint Township Bunny Trail. And so we are starting to talk to businesses in the community to see if they would like to participate. It'll basically be on Facebook. I was talking to you about this earlier. It'll be on Facebook, and we'll have an interactive map so people can see where the bunny stops are, where they can register to win prizes. And that is what I have on that. I'm trying to think of if I had any other announcements that I had to make. We've got about a minute and a half left. Is there anything you wanted to say about the airport or anything about Flint Township that you wanted to say before we sign off?
The biggest thing that I just want to emphasize, I mean, everyone's they're going to be ready to fly whenever they feel comfortable. And just to know that the airports, airlines, everyone's doing their part in making it as safe and as clean as possible. And start flying again.
All right. Yeah, that's right. Fly again. So I want to remind our listeners, if you have any questions for us, please email discoverflinttownship@gmail.com or visit us on Facebook at Flint Township Events. You can find all of our shows on our YouTube channel, Discover Flint Township, or if you would like information on available properties or any other information about Flint Township, you can visit our web pages, discoverflinttownship.com or flinttownship.org. I want to thank you again for coming, Nino. It's been fun. And I want to thank to our partners, HAP, Shea Automotive Group, Financial Plus Credit Union, Guaranteed Rate, 103.9 The Fox. This is Tracy Tucker, the Flint Township Economic Enhancement Director, and I would like to remind everyone, stay safe, stay healthy, shop local, buy local, and discover Flint Township. See you later.
This has been Discover Flint Township with Tracy Tucker. For more information, visit discoverflinttownship.com. Flint Township is ready for your next move. The preceding program was pre-recorded and was paid for by Discover Flint Township. The views expressed are those of Discover Flint Township and do not necessarily reflect the views of 103.9 The Fox or Krill Communications, Inc.